All right, guys, back with another Lions draft pick analysis breakdown here, whatever you want to call it, as we go forward. Mekhi Wingo, sixth-round pick from LSU, 21 years old, barely 21 years old, one of the younger players in this draft. This is, okay, we're in steal territory now, folks. This is a heck of a value pick here on day three. We had him here at The Athletic. I believe Dane Brugler had him as a third-round grade, third or fourth, somewhere in there, the fringe. He was a top 100 player, league number 95 on Dane's final board. And it's hard to argue with that based on, the twitch, the first step, the speed, and all that stuff that he gives you off the line. 4.85 40, terrific burst, 31 and a half vert, 163 on the 10 split. And you can see the first step in all this, in the twitch and everything that he has. Just boom, right off the line, and he's in there and making plays and just creating havoc. And that was sort of his MO. And you can see, and that's another thing I like about him, too, is some of this inside stuff. Um, doesn't really work all the time in college. As imagine this with an NFL player right opposite him, or maybe one of the Lions players. You can see him jam inside there and create all that on that stunt. Imagine somebody wrapping around back off. Look at all the space he's creating there for someone to possibly loop back through. Right, it doesn't really happen here, but like that's something that you can see from him. You see him lining up also in a lot of different spots for LSU. He's, inside here. He played outside a lot as well. Depending on what they were doing, a lot of odd front situations here. Here is going to keep contained. Look at the movement skills there to come back in, force Travis to make a terrible throw back over the middle of the field in a horrible situation. But either way, that's really good stuff there for Wingo to get down the line. A guy who I think for Detroit, not sure how much usage you get out of him. Not sure, and I think this is probably why he dropped on some boards. Not sure how many downs he plays. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy that is small and was versatile in college. And I suppose it depends on how they line up. If they want to put him in there on third down with some of the rush guys, I think that would be a hell of a deal. You put him over the center, you put the rush dudes out there with him. But I don't know if he can play first down. I don't know how much he can play on first down. I don't know how much he can give you against the run in the NFL. And I think that's kind of the thing, and that's probably what dropped him here. But I mean, the pass rush inside is really good, and the movement skills and everything else. Here you can see him chasing down Travis against LSU there all the way out. Really good stuff. I mean, he's a good football player who does a lot of damage when he gets underneath people and he's square on them and he's directly over them and it's right over, right above the line. It's right over the ball, and he'll beat a center, beat a guard with his quickness or whatever it is. However, if he's not right over someone, or if he's slanting, or if he's moving, or if he's on the move at all, um, that's when things kind of, the compact body and the sort of undersized, thing that he plays with. He's got the short arms and everything else, barely 32 inches. You can see him just kind of get stuck there. That happens a lot too. He gets stuck. He was disruptive, plays his butt off, was a team captain. I believe he was All American there, at least third team as a junior. And was a guy that moved around a lot and did some things. Had four pass defenses as well. Did everything that was asked of him. We mentioned team captain, 8.5 sacks over the last 2 years. So he's a productive player. And here we go. Gets his hands in, as you can see, and he just shakes the guy. If he gets his hands on first and wins inside, he's got enough power to just throw the dude and just go make a play. Like, you see a lot of that too. So I'm not saying that he can't play on first down. He might be able to. I mean, maybe a little bit here and there, right? I think he's a nice rotational player who's going to give you really good value. There he got lost again on third down. But I think that there's room to grow, as you mentioned, 21 years old. And again, here, he's wide and he's kind of just, you can see the movement. He's not getting any knockback. He's not really doing anything. He's getting completely washed out. That happens a lot in the run game with him as well. So you can see the things he's got to work on. You can see the areas where he's not going to be a two gapper, as you see right there. But I'm going to pause it here. He's 21 years old barely, and you can see the numbers. You can see the first step here, right? It's 98 percentile on the first step, and he's got good burst, good speed in general. So he's just a really good football player all the way around who hasn't played his best ball yet. I think is ultimately, the thing that you buy on if you're the Lions and you're saying that, this is a guy who was productive, a captain as a junior, at a place that, has a lot of talent. They won a lot of games. They played really hard, played well, played good football, at least, up front anyway, were productive there over the last 2 years. And a guy who I think has room to grow and probably does fit with what Detroit's wanting in terms of a nasty guy who can fit inside, spell Aleem McNeil, rush opposite Aleem McNeil. I think that would be maybe more what you're doing. Spell some of the other guys in there, spell DJ Reader, and then also be a mess on third down. Just be a guy who goes and gets it. I think that that's something that the Lions have lacked really in the years of Campbell and Holmes. Levi Onwuzurike was supposed to be that guy. You have Aleem McNeil, of course, who does that on occasion. But they ask him to do a lot of two-gapping. They ask him to have he has a lot of run responsibility and everything else. And there's pass rush that you get from Aleem, but it's not really his, there's so many things that he's doing, on a snap to snap basis or series to series basis that I think that to have a guy like this that's just twitched up, and if you can get him in a right matchup, and I think that'll be key. At LSU, they played him all over the place, as you can see. He moved around, wore a lot of hats. That's fine. I think and he's a matchup player, I think, at this level, a guy who certainly will, I think, outperform his draft grade. I'm not sure he'll ever become a dominant, whatever, but like a guy who can be a starter at some point, sure. A guy who can start probably opposite McNeil if you need him to, and a guy who's going to play, 30 snaps and be productive every time he's out there. I think that's really the thing that you're looking for with defensive tackles these days. If I give you 15 snaps, are you going to give me everything you got on the 15, right? If it's all I'm going to give you today, it's got to be tank empty, and you're going to add more than we lost in those 15 snaps. Hard to get, really, from this position on the field. So I think this is really good value. This is a really good pick. And this is why, again, they take those swings early on day 3 with the guys that they say we can't live without. And then they end up with this on later in day 3, a guy who it's like, well, this is a guy who a lot of people thought was a third-round pick. Quite frankly, a lot of people, not just a couple, a lot of people thought this was a third, maybe fourth-round pick, right? So to get him in the 6 is great value. And then again with Christian Mahogany, who we'll break down in another later video, awesome value. These are the 2 best value picks that the Lions made, other than maybe Terry and Arnold, in my opinion, which I think is the best fit in general that they had. So late draft stuff here, room to grow from a really explosive player with a lot of twitch. I like where he fits with Detroit. I like what they're doing right now. I like a lot of where they're going. And again, it's hard to argue with Brad Holmes' draft strategy because these are the type of guys that are going to probably outperform their slot, and it's going to be hard to argue with them.